At the end of C1, one of the many brutal missions currently available in GTFO, your expedition team will be trapped at the bottom of a long-forsaken botany lab. An orange circle appears on the floor, and everyone needs to stand in it at the same time to fill up a bar at the top of the screen. The circle lazily paths through the damp corridors and stairwells, and the party of 4 crams together in its borders, staring down iron sights, shooting at anything that moves. An absolute onslaught of horrific aberrations lays siege to your defenses as GTFO demonstrates just how mean it can be. It is one of the most crushingly challenging trials you'll ever endure in a co-op video game, but the more GTFO breaks your heart, the more tempting it becomes to develop a dangerous taste for its unwavering cruelty.
Going up? Yeah, we're going up. Nice.
Your objectives differ with each level, but most of the time your team will be asked to dredge up some sort of deserted MacGuffin from the bedrock and return to safety with everyone in one piece. But unlike its clear inspiration, games like Left 4 Dead, Payday, and their ilk, GTFO demands an intense, uncompromising degree of execution. There is no scenario where this is a simple shooting gallery and victory can be achieved by emptying clips blindly into the horde.
Make all the shots count!
Instead, it brings to mind the white-knuckle logistics of a tough World of Warcraft dungeon. There are sequences in GTFO where your quartet will need to creep through the muck in total silence as not to alert the Goliaths sleepwalking in your wake. There are twisted, toothy enemies that can wipe your group in nanoseconds. You'll need to avoid them in total darkness. It's easy for a party to spend a good 15 minutes divvying up resources and walling off choke points before a particularly elaborate encounter, only to die almost instantly. That difficulty is going to turn off a lot of people who might have ventured into play casually, but the most dedicated will greatly enjoy GTFO's willingness to punish your group over and over again until you produce results. It's an old school sensibility. We've watched games become increasingly streamlined over the years, but GTFO is a loud, proud step in the reverse direction. This philosophy is exemplified by the fact that just to find your way around, one party member will need to jump onto a computer terminal and use a DOS command prompt to, say, locate health packs or uncover a keycard. On top of that, there is no generous signposting in the complex. Instead, everybody shares a map that can be drawn on with their cursor as if you're stewing over a midnight D&D session. And boldly, every so often developer 10 Chambers is willing to throw out all of its existing maps and replace them with a fresh batch to ensure they never get stale. That is not to say that GTFO doesn't have any modern shooter trappings. Each level is laden with limited use perks that can be deployed on future expeditions, and all of them offer some rote boost to typical FPS attributes: damage output, revive speed, and ammo supply, to name a few. You can also unlock a handful of cosmetics that outfit your grayscale shock trooper with nearly imperceptible costume alterations. Notably though, this is a completely microtransaction-free game. But all of this stuff felt pretty tacked on and weirdly contrary to the rest of the hardcore GTFO ethos. This is a video game where you might need to hold off a band of mutants with a speed-dampening foam gun while a buddy punches code words into a computer. After that, it's a little weird to return to the lobby, where everyone straps on 7% increases to projectile resistance. After 2 years in early access, GTFO's 1.0 release marks some of its first overtures to a mainstream audience. For the first time ever, we get some conservative checkpoints. Your progress will no longer be fully deleted after a team wipe. The other big addition are the bots you can staff your party with if you don't have a full squad of trusted friends ready to go at all times, and the AI is surprisingly competent. But don't let those compromises with accessibility fool you. GTFO remains a game built for a group of human beings in constant communication. In fact, the main menu contains a link to the official Discord, which is good because the built-in matchmaking system is hit or miss. Naturally, that means GTFO is subject to all of the social annoyances parceled with so many cooperative games. These levels are long, some more than 2 hours total, and it really sucks when someone drops out halfway through. It'd be nice to have some sort of save function so parties could cut our losses. Would it really violate the GTFO doctrine to allow us to call a session at 2 a.m. and return the next morning and give it another shot without starting from the beginning? That said, rarely has a game so brilliantly put us on a high wire. In GTFO's advanced missions, as the party ventures into another dingy chamber teeming with monsters that could send the whole swarm after you if stirred from their slumber, you might find that everyone's voice is reduced to a whisper. No, the enemies can't hear you through the screen, but it still doesn't feel right to speak up. That level of immersion can only be achieved when 4 players are ensconced in total blackness, scribbling instructions on a map, fearing a wipe around every corner. It comes from the knowledge that GTFO will break your spirit and mash you into a pulp, and that only then will you feel alive. GTFO is an uncompromising take on the Left 4 Dead co-op shooter formula. This is a game best played with 3 friends who you know for a fact are capable of coordinating together to defeat a horde of horrific, fleshy monstrosities while navigating through advanced Destiny-style raid mechanics. With the right party and with the right amount of patience, GTFO eventually reveals itself as one of the most rewarding cooperative experiences out there. So many first-person shooters seem completely uninterested in testing our abilities, but when you hit the extraction point in GTFO, it truly feels like escaping the jaws of death. For more co-op shooters, check out our reviews of Back 4 Blood and Aliens Fireteam Elite, and for everything else, stick with IGN.
Shot. Oh, hit him.
Yeah. Oh shit. I'm down. Damn.